a role of oversight over the TAC report, over what your city staff and others are doing for the city's end of the TAC report. Back a long time ago, I suggested you do a national search and that you target that search by finding people who have done exactly what you need to hire in other cities. That's very little research, and you can get those names. Now that you have a professional hiring consultant, I would appreciate if one of you or more of you would say to those consultants, please do the research, find us some names of people who have done this in Houston and in Atlanta and in San Diego and in Salt Lake and other places. That's suggestion one. Would you also cultivate a relationship with unhoused people on a regular basis and invite them into your conversations by being proactive to do so? I've been meeting with a group of housed and unhoused people now for 3 months, and I guarantee you they would like to have a greater role. I will thank you now.
Thank you. Carmel Snyder, followed by Majeska Seascreen.
Dear Mayor and Councilors, thank you for your time and consideration this evening. My name is Carmel Snyder. I live in Ward 8. AARP is a nationwide organization of more than 38 million members, almost 50,000 which live here in Eugene. AARP supports zoning to allow accessory dwelling units as outlined in Senate Bill 1051 and House Bill 2001. ADUs provide housing options for older adults and their families of all ages. The accessory dwelling unit is an affordable choice that can expand housing options for people of all ages. As a small footprint housing type, is it an efficient, creative, and cost-effective option in the affordable housing toolkit and can be used to rapidly increase the housing supply. The benefits of ADUs vary from creating housing for caregivers or adding a rental unit for income generation. We urge you to move forward in creating the options residents in your community need. Now I'm going to take off my AARP hat for a moment, and I'm here to speak to you as a constituent and as a resident. I almost didn't come today because I've been ill, and as I was leaving my doctor's office today, I witnessed a mother and her 2 young children sitting on the sidewalk. The older appeared to be in kindergarten or 1st grade, and the mom was helping her do her homework. I watched as the mom took off her apron from work and put it in her bag. And then I watched as this mom loaded up all their supplies in a shopping cart and walked around the building to a tent. I'm going to think about them when I go to sleep tonight, and I hope you do too.
Thank you. Majeska Seascreen, followed by Dormica Henschel.
Hi, Majeska Seascreen. I'll be pretty brief. I appreciate so much that so many people have said tonight, and really appreciate that we have these public forums where we can come forth and speak like this. Especially want to say I agree with all the folks talking about the climate emergency, but especially about the need for housing and the homelessness issues. Really want to support what Todd Boyle is saying about the need for really inexpensive, cheap housing for very low-income people, and the particular suggestions that he's making about that. About ADUs, I want to join with so many others in saying, come on, it's time to move faster on this kind of stuff. Obviously, there's a real emergency, and we need you to act like there is an emergency. Speaking of which, I'm one of the people with several organizations who's been asking for the city council as well as the county commissioners to to declare, make some sort of declaration about the emergency on housing and homelessness. I appreciate that the Board of Commissioners have done that. Hope it doesn't turn out just to be symbolic. I don't think it needs to be just symbolic, but we really need you folks to do that as well. And don't wait for some long process through the Human Rights Commission to really start thinking in your hearts about the need for that to happen as soon as possible and for it not to be just symbolic. And lastly, I want to say something about what Councilor Semple said in the Human Rights Commission, and I appreciate your apologies, and I guess that discussion will continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Dharmika Henschel, followed by Lex Warden.
Hi, I'm Dharmika Henschel. I'm in Ward 7. Thank you for your ears and your patience. I'm speaking in support of the youth-led climate strike and the climate emergency declaration. A glacier in Iceland was officially declared dead in 2014 when it was no longer thick enough to move. What once was a glacier has been reduced to a small patch of ice atop a volcano. A funeral was held just last month for the loss of the Auk Glacier. The mourners went up to where the glacier used to be and placed a plaque there. At the bottom of the plaque, it has the name of the person who wrote this. It says, Andri Snæ Magnusson. It says August 2019. And it says 415 parts per million. And it's called A Letter to the Future. So just for a moment, let's imagine here we are 50 or 100 years from now, somehow, and we're in Iceland reading this. And it says, Auk is the first Icelandic glacier to lose its status as a glacier. In the next 200 years, all our main glaciers are expected to follow the same path. This monument is to acknowledge that we know what is happening and what needs to be done. Only you know if we did it.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Lex Warden.
Hi, hello, council members and community members, and thank you so much for sticking it out. I know this has been a really long evening, so thank you for your patience. This is my first time doing this, so I'm a little nervous, but wrote out some stuff. I'd like to take a moment to honor the Kalapuya tribe, whose land we are on, and whose land we have kind of gotten into a really bad spot. I also want to talk to us and everyone about the interconnectedness of all of these problems, all of these situations, everything that we're facing right now. The AUD, the 5G, the climate crisis, all of these are connected. And if the land continues to get sick, everyone, no matter their age, no matter where they're from, no matter their socioeconomic status, we all get sick with it. And that is already happening with communities and species, both human and more than human, losing their lives. In order to combat this fear, it's so easy to move and be in a place of fear when we hear about the world and our species literally dying. And if we live in a place of fear, then we act out of a place of fear. And when we act in a place of fear, we end up harming so much more than ourselves and the people around us. I just wanted to take a vow in front of a lot of people. I have committed to not having children because of the extreme fear that I have, not only for my future. I will be roughly in my 30s by the time the climate cutoff is happening. And yeah, I just wanted to say that we can be a beacon of hope. We can be a beacon of hope.
Thank you.
Eugene is ready. People are ready. The youth
you.
is ready. And we're so ready to support you in your
Thank you.
decisions. You know,
Thank you.
it's difficult, and we're all here to do it together.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for that final comment. Thank you for that final comment. Okay. Yes. So thank you all for commenting. I have lots of counselors wishing to comment. I have Betty, I have Claire, I have Emily. Anybody else? I have Alan, I have Greg. Okay. All right, Betty.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone who spoke, and especially the last person had a great point. She didn't get to finish, but overpopulation is a part of all the problems. But the climate, people who spoke about the climate are speaking about the very survival of humanity, and that is extremely important. Housing is extremely important too, but I don't know why people don't know generally that ADUs are permitted. They are not prohibited. And that stands for accessory dwelling unit. If you're talking about getting rid of the residency requirement, then it's no longer accessory. But the buildings, if you need an accessory building, they are permitted. Thank you.
Counselor Sayret.
Thank you. So I think the folks who asked about Hatton Lane may have left, but I was going to ask that we pull that item from the consent calendar when we get to that part. I'm just kind of forecasting that, just to ask a couple of questions of staff related to what we were asked about there. I wanted to respond to Wayne Martin about inclusion of unhoused folks in conversations that the city's having. Right now, city staff is engaged in ongoing discussions with folks who are unhoused in our community and engaging in a dialogue with them with the intention of asking some of them to participate in a formal way in helping inform the projects and initiatives that we were working on to provide more services. So I wanted to, that's not widely known. It's, some of the work that's going on in the background, but we are, city staff is being very deliberate about engaging folks who will be the end users of some of the things that we are going to be initiating. And I also believe that the city of Eugene did make a declaration about homelessness being an emergency. I think that might have been under Mayor Piercy. I'm hearing 2015, so, or 2016, but that was done. So, obviously work is slower than we would want it to be, but we did make that statement. Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Semple.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who came and spoke to us. At the Human Rights Commission meeting last Tuesday evening, I used the word terrorism. If I had pre-written my remarks, I would have chosen a different word. I apologize. In addition, I regret mentioning the organization Carry It Forward. I also mixed up the Easy A Market, which has an unrented apartment above it, and Albies, who sells gyros. I'm sorry. Thank you to the Sustainability Commission for their resolution supporting the youth-led climate strike. It was an amazing outpouring of energy and hope, and I'm so grateful. The resolution was approved Wednesday night. Packets came out Thursday. Resolutions can't really just go from what we get to what we approve. They have to be written in Eugeneese. So I'm sorry that we're not going to get to vote on it tonight, but I will be getting it out to council. And I am hoping that we can discuss and vote on it after our next public forum, which is on, when is it? October 7th, I guess? 9th on Wednesday? No. I'm sorry, 7th, which isn't on our calendar. It's not the
October
7th, we
14th.
haven't met yet, so it'll
October
have to
14th.
be the 14th. I am, obviously had a long day. So you can come and speak in support of that again, although I'm certainly in support of it right now. And also, we will be having a public hearing, everyone's favorite, on November 18th to hear about the ordinance on polystyrene. That would be to ban it. And also an ordinance on plastic bags. Potential action on that would occur a week later on November 25th. Once again, thank you to everyone. I do appreciate you.
Councilor Zelenka.
Yeah, I was going to comment on two things. One was that we did declare a housing emergency about 2 years ago and asked the governor to actually, excuse me,
You need to sit down, thank you. Thank you.
you can
We
wait till
can
after
talk
the
after,
meeting to do that. We did ask the governor to actually declare a housing emergency, which he didn't do that. And then secondly, I was at the climate strike on Friday with a couple thousand of my friends, and it was actually very heartening to see all the students march from Churchill and also from South Eugene in support. I noticed that the Portland School District encouraged people, I think, or students to actually participate, and Eugene 4J didn't. I wish they had made a different decision, but they still had an amazing turnout of kids from South Eugene and Churchill. So my power to those folks that did that. It was a great event, well attended by many people.
Councilor Evans.
I think I'm good. I think I'm good, Mayor.
Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to, I want to keep stressing this point because we hear it so frequently. From those who talk about ADUs, I sense that we probably will comply with state law. I sense that there may be even enough votes to remove the current restrictions, or I suppose I shouldn't use the word restrictions, whatever you want to call them. I sense that that's probably going to be the case at some point. And so when all of that has occurred and no more ADUs are constructed then than are now, I wonder if we'll be willing to finally admit that it's more about affordability than it is the law. We hear this all the time, that it is an affordable solution, and it's not. The reason they don't get built by the people who build them is because they don't pencil out. So again, we'll change the law. We'll probably change that. But when we don't see the applications for them, and we don't see people able to borrow the $100,000 they need to build each one, then maybe we'll have an honest conversation about how to deal with the housing crisis that we have instead of making this a be-all and end-all solution that it's not.
Any other councilors wishing to speak? I want to thank everyone who came, and I recognize that we have an outpouring of recurring issues because we haven't resolved those issues, and so we get a full house repeatedly on some issues that come back again and again. And I think homelessness, we can never move fast enough and make big enough decisions, but it is a priority, and I think council has recognized that as a crisis for years, and it is why it has been at the top of council's work and why we have gone past the path we have followed. Climate, I think there's going to be a lot of action in this council in the coming 2 months on the CAP 2.0 and a lot of decisions. So I think in addition to a resolution that you will see some tangible progress. And I fully expect on ADUs that we will make the progress and that we will comply with 1051 because that is state law and we need to get there. And similarly think that will be with respect to House Bill 2001. So we'll get there. Thank you all for advocating for that. And with that, that's the end of the forum period. We're ready for the consent calendar. There's a request to pull.
I can wait till it's.
You can wait till it, okay.
till the motion's-
All right. Yes.
I wanted to get in on the
Okay,
conversation.
all right,
about the
so-
old item as well.
Consent calendar.
I move to approve the items on the consent calendar,
Second.
except what, which item was it?
B, 2B,
B,
oh, item B.
Item B.
except for item B.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Excellent. Okay, item B on the consent calendar. Claire Surratt.
So we've got Jeff Petrie here, who's been working on this. We postponed taking action on this at the last consent calendar, when it was on the consent calendar before, in part to see if there was more public comment. We got additional public comment from folks in favor of the proposed annexations. But then tonight I heard people asking to be added to the annexation, and I would assume that we would like to pass what we've got in front of us and perhaps continue with the process that it sounded like you may have started with some residents to do the further annexation, but not wait. So if you could address your knowledge on that, thank you.
We as staff and the community would like to move forward with this annexation. After all the community input and output we've had and door-to-door and community meetings. And you're correct, there is a local access road that has city property abutting it. That is a different, it's an annexation, but it's a different process. So the current proposal we put in front of you, the county still maintains ownership of the road and we put in a layer on top of it. The local access road, I believe the city buys the road. And so that's kind of that's a different process, even though it's the annexation process.
So I heard folks advocating for that to happen, and you are engaged with those folks and looking at how to move that process forward. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Public Works is the lead on that project, and then working with the county about how does that local access road transition to the city, and what does that look like? So they're having those conversations in part because of this, but in part because of other questions that are out there in the community.
Great. And then one of the speakers said that she had sent us emails about the problems out there. I'll be honest, I do not recall receiving those emails. When I get emails from folks in Ward 7 who identify themselves as such, I definitely respond. So I apologize if she sent us emails that I did not respond to about these particular issues. But thanks for clarifying that. So I think I would hope that council will support the current annexation before us, knowing that there is a process to address the folks who brought us additional requests this evening.
Okay, ready to vote? Oh, sorry. Yes, Councilor Clark.
Thank you. Am I correct in assuming that with Anderson Lane, Anderson Way, whatever, sorry, I couldn't
Yeah, it was
remember the name of
Anderson.
it there. Am I correct in assuming that Public Works will have to create an LID and charge those folks commensurately for bringing that up to a city standard before it's annexed? Or something close to it?
Yeah, it'd have to be something close to that because, yes, it's like buying the road is what we're doing.
Yeah, we'll pay for some of that, but we will also be charging those folks pretty significantly for that process.
That's in the discussions.
After an LID is created in order to bring it up to standard?
What would have to happen, yes, if it happens.
This is at least tangentially a part of a previous work session that I've brought up where our actions will create impacts. I mean, we've already agreed, and in this particular case, in this area, unless I'm mistaken, those homes were probably built while that was a local access, while it was a county road, all of those things. But when we're permitting homes to be built where the roads are less standard and we don't have a plan for bringing them up to city standards, then we end up, when we are going to bring in and annex that street there, creating more of a problem on these folks. And I think the rest of the community bears a burden or a higher burden since we've already permitted those homes to be there in the process of bringing that up to standard as opposed to charging them a huge chunk of money to do it.
We had a work session on this a while back.
Yeah.
I don't recall where that work session ended, and so I'd have to go back and take a look at that, and we'd be happy to send something out to you and the rest of the council on sort of where that conversation ended in that work session.
I'm going to vote in favor of this because an awful lot of people have worked on it in order to solve a problem that's substantial. But we are shifting that problem to other people and then telling them the fix is going to cost them a huge chunk of money. And that, I have a little bit of a problem with that. I hope we're going to be willing to step up to the plate for a little bit of that, since our actions will contribute to that.
Okay, any other comments? All right, all in favor of item B on the calendar? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. None opposed, so that passes. Thank you very much. And that is our last. Nope, do we have
John
something else?
Borofsky is whispering that we didn't make a motion on the.
Oh, we did not make a motion on that? Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Is that right?
Thank you, parliamentarian.
She moved minus
She moved
2B.
minus 2B. We never put it on. Sorry.
Move to
Go
approve
for it.
2B. Move to approve 2B. Second. No.
Okay, now, thank you.
We're gonna have to put him on the payroll.
I know, really. Thanks, John. All
Okay,
right.
we did.
Now we get to vote again. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank
Is
you
this a
very
vote
much.
of making John at the table or a
Really? No,
parliamentarian?
really. Okay, thank you.
to move the whole list and then pull one.
Then poll one, right, okay. Sorry, George.
Keeping us honest.